Welcome back to News Around, the channel where we don't just read the headlines, we feel the pulse behind the stories. Today, we find ourselves navigating a narrative that is difficult to articulate, one that sits heavy in the chest for anyone who believes in the enduring power of love amidst the chaos of fame. We are talking about Gökberk Demirci and Özge Yağız. Two names that, for so many of us, were synonymous with a modern fairy tale, a partnership that seemed written in the stars but has, unfortunately, been rewritten by the stark reality of life. Before we unravel the chronology of this separation and separate the raw emotion from the cold facts, we ask you to take a moment to support our work. Please subscribe to News Around, like this video to help us reach more fans who are processing this news, and consider clicking the join button. Your membership allows us to keep bringing you these deep, respectful analyses of the stars we all cherish. For months, there was a feeling, a subtle, persistent undercurrent that something had shifted in the atmosphere surrounding this beloved couple. We tried to ignore it, perhaps because the image of Gökberk and Özge had become a source of comfort for so many. They were the couple that warmed us with their presence on runways, at glittering galas, and in those stolen, candid moments captured on the street between a quick coffee and a knowing smile. Fans had memorized the map of their gestures, the way their glances always seemed to seek each other out in a crowded room, the effortless way their hands found one another, the silent promise of continuity that radiated from them. 4 years, that promise gave their supporters the distinct feeling of being part of a special chapter, a witness to a love story that bore the signature of a perfect agreement. Then, almost imperceptibly, the first creaks began to sound in the foundation. It wasn't anything sensational at first, no explosive fights or public unfollows. Instead, it was defined by small distances. Schedules that no longer overlapped, appearances together that became increasingly rare, a silence where there used to be shared laughter. Many of us shrugged it off, rationalizing that in the whirlwind of demanding sets and ambitious projects, time is the ultimate luxury and absence is merely a temporary guest. We wanted to believe that the demands of their soaring careers were simply keeping them physically apart, not emotionally distant. However, the evening of January 30th, 2026, marked the definitive turning point. The news that broke did not come as a rumor inflated by clickbait or a whisper from an unreliable source. It arrived with the weight of officialdom, few words, confident and heavy, leaving no room for misinterpretation. The paths of Gökberk Demirci and Özge Yağız are parting ways. There were no poetic turns of phrase, no secret documents flaunted in the wind, just that dignified, icy coolness that often accompanies the end of a high-profile union. It was official in both intention and tone, concise statements crafted with the precision of professionals who know they must protect the human beings behind the public personas. Yet, behind those dry, disciplined lines, a wave of emotion erupted across the fanbase that has yet to subside. If we look for the genesis of this fracture, we must look back to the closing months of 2025. Insiders working behind the scenes describe it as a series of whispered signals in the production corridors, last-minute schedule changes, extended solo trips, and cancellations of social outings where they were once fixtures. These were things that could easily be explained away by work commitments, of course, but they were enough to ignite the instincts of those who follow every detail of their lives. Cautious questions began to pop up on fan forums, evolving into heated discussions and theories. Some blamed creative tensions, others pointed to logistical nightmares, while many simply remained silent, holding on to the hope that a single unexpected photo or a shared interview would reset the narrative. The truth we are left with now is both stark and vast. We are caught between the couple's need to protect their privacy and the public's desire to understand why the dream ended. The leaked explanations speak of differences in vision, divergent personal paths, and a sincere need to grow without forcing time to bend to their will. These are phrases we have heard before in the industry, but they resonate with a different, sharper frequency here because they touch faces we have followed as if they were close friends. The careers of Gökberk and Özge are marathons without pauses, demanding sets, impossible shooting schedules, and cities that change like theater backdrops. The industry loves and demands, and the distance it imposes carves invisible furrows between people. It is that distance, compounding day after day, that can transform into a wall against which even the warmest hugs eventually bang and bounce. There is also the hypothesis that has been passed around by word of mouth, the idea that differences in character and creativity became more pronounced over time. Like lines on a map that initially draw only slight reliefs but eventually diverge into inaccessible mountain crests, sometimes people grow in disaligned directions. Priorities shift, desires recalibrate, and what once united two people like a magnet can become the source of long, drawn-out discussions that find no resolution. It is a painfully human process, one that fame cannot insulate you from. And, of course, the merciless script of gossip demands the mention of third parties. But on this point, Newsaround wants to be absolutely clear. Aside from unfounded hypotheses and the cruelty of internet speculation, there is no solid evidence pointing to an external presence as the reason for this separation. The echo of curiosity can be cruel, but respect is the choice that clarifies the path. We choose to believe that this was a decision made between two people, born of their own internal dynamics, not external betrayals. The reaction from the fans has been a mosaic of grief and solidarity. On social media, the outpouring was immediate. Some wrote with heartfelt words of sadness and bewilderment, phrases that make us tremble because we recognize our own losses in them. Others promised unconditional support to both actors individually, while some shared clips of their sweetest moments, creating a digital vigil for a romance that defined an era. There were also those who, with a lucid maturity, noted that stories have natural cycles and that no one should remain a prisoner to an image just because the audience isn't ready to let go. So, where do we go from here? Let's stop for a moment to think about Gökberk and Özge not as symbols, but as people. For Gökberk Demirci, who carries enormous expectations and a professional curiosity that drives him toward daring challenges, this may be a time of intense focus. For Özge Yağız, who has built an artistic space with sure steps and a sensitivity that transcends the screen, this is a moment to reclaim her own narrative. For both, a different season is dawning, a season where time becomes an ally once again, where personal projects find new light, and where pauses cease to be empty voids and become drawers in which to store new ideas and possibilities. If there is a meaning to what has happened, perhaps it is this. From fractures arise paths we hadn't had the courage to travel before. Many of you have asked us what this means for the immediate future. The most honest answer is that it means a time of attention, care, and respect. It is plausible we will see Gökberk dedicate himself to roles that challenge the boundaries he has drawn so far, offering glimpses of an even more mature perspective. It is equally likely that Özge will embrace new projects, perhaps those postponed due to lack of emotional space, with the determination of someone who knows how to transform a closure into an opening. This is not a farewell to the dream, it is its metamorphosis. However, we cannot ignore the imprint this event has left. If there is a lesson here, it is that even stories that seem carved in stone are made of living, breathing flesh. Loyalty, understanding, and communication are not trophies to be won once, they are a constant work in progress. We who observe from the outside often forget that in a relationship, empty spaces aren't always clues to a mystery, sometimes they are just necessary silences. We are not here to prophesy a reunion. The only certainty is that now, we need to be gentle. There will be weeks of measured words, of calibrated appearances, and of deep breaths. What are your thoughts on this heartbreaking development? Do you think the pressures of the industry make it impossible for love to survive, or is this just a natural part of life? We want to hear your supportive comments below. Please remember to be kind to one another and to the actors involved. Thank you for trusting Newsaround with this delicate story. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and click join to support us. Until next time, take care of your hearts.